Yeah, I understand, and I agree with you on a higher minimum wage as a way to help get people back into the workforce. I mean, we're looking right now. So some of the ideas you'd proposed, which I agree with, virtually all of them, in terms of trying to employ people, we have uh, contact tracing and healthcare. We have infrastructure, which I assume you're on board with,
Yeah,
and
and we can talk. I'd love to talk about what type of infrastructure. What does that really mean, right?
yeah, please.
Because there's infrastructure 1.0 and then there's infrastructure for America 2.0. And so if you look historically at infrastructure, you were building highways between cities that leveraged up commerce. You built railroads and you built airports that leveraged up commerce. But the way we've been talking about infrastructure is just to improve those railroads and bridges and highways and just remove the potholes, because those are shovel ready jobs. And that's not a bad thing. I think infrastructure should incorporate those, but I think infrastructure needs to think bigger and be more leverageable, because that's what previous big impact infrastructure programs have done, right? And so I think we need to start looking at investing in robotics, because if we really want to kick China's ass, we can't do it by
Which we
pretending
do.
it's still the 1960s, right? We're
Agree.
not first in robotics. You've got Germany ahead of us. You've got Japan ahead of us. You've got China tied probably ahead of us now. And as a government, all four of those countries are making significant
Investments, yes.
right? We are doing nothing. We've got a lot of great robotic software companies, but we buy our robots from overseas. And the bigger challenge is, just to create an analogy, let's just say there's 1 billion products made overseas, right? And they're made overseas instead of here because they're less expensive to make there. And we want to bring back half of them, 500 million products. The only way we're going to be able to make them less expensive than countries who don't have the environmental protections and don't have the wages that we have is through robotics. Now, the concern from a lot of people is that will displace jobs. Well, if we do it on scale, the economy that's built around robotics will be dramatically bigger than what we ever had in manufacturing recently.
I couldn't agree with you more. It's not like losing at robotics is a good jobs plan, which is what the option is.
Yeah, because like in any business, you always have to ask, how's your competition going to kick your ass, right? And China, Germany, Russia, Japan, etc., they're not sitting still. They're saying America's not investing in this, so that's the exact right place for us to invest, because we literally can get a huge advantage. And to add to this, Andrew, I'd also tax robots. So like I have a company that I've invested in, and they do welding robots. And they charge the equivalent of a traditional welder, but they really fill in the blanks, right? They work shifts that they can't find welders to work. There'd be nothing wrong with doing the same type of tax, FICA type tax on both sides of a robot, if you will, so that we tax it at 12.4%, both sides, take 9% of that, put it into the Social Security Fund or the General Treasury, take 3.x% of that and continue to invest it in robotics as our future infrastructure, because we have to be able to compete as a country. And the crazy part is we have so much intellectual capacity and productivity that we're just not investing in right now. And that's our greatest asset, along with our entrepreneurial spirit. Yet right now, the current administration wants to believe it's 1965.
Yeah, it's so backward looking. We need tens of thousands of people to help install 5G equipment and rollout. Yep. I mean, that's something we're behind in. We don't have like a native supplier. Again, we're
investing in software-defined networks, right? Because that's part of the problem, right? We're so dependent on Huawei because they came in and were subsidized and were so cheap, right? Other nations are the same. The only way you're going to build around that is with software-defined networks. And we need to really look at that. And like to your point, all across the country, rural, urban, everywhere, we're going to need that to compete. And it's a great idea.